Hello, beautiful moms and entrepreneurs. My name is Charisse Walker, and I'm your host of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. This is a place where we come together to learn, grow, and inspire. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Hello, Unbreakable Mompreneurs. My name is Charisse Walker, and today I'm here with Jaclyn Strominger. And I'm excited because, first of all, she's totally energetic, and she talks about success and how to be successful. And so she's a success coach. So, Jaclyn, why don't you introduce yourself?
So thank you so much for having me, Charisse. And I just want to put my stuff on focus for a second so that you don't hear bangs because it's going to bug me. I'm so grateful to be here. So I'm Jaclyn Strominger. I am a high performance success coach. And I will tell you that my journey here to become, from how I got here has been kind of crazy. And I started and I just kind of love sharing this. I started, like a lot of us, we go to college, right?
Yeah.
And we may or may not have a focus when we go to college, right? And right,
Totally.
right, like I don't know what I'm going to do. So when I had this idea of what I wanted to do, I'm 55 or about to be 56, and so I don't know if you remember, like commercials used to be really great, and you could remember every single commercial because they had these awesome jingles. And I was like, I'm going to go into advertising and marketing because I know every commercial and I know every jingle. And I figured like that was like my key foray. And I didn't do that, but I ended up going into consumer marketing and magazine publishing, doing direct marketing. But when I got out of school, it's like you have this crazy focus when you're in school, like at least I did. And then like I made a decision as to what I wanted to do. And then I got my first job. And then it was then what?
Right.
And I had in my head that I was like, okay, I want to go here. But I had no plan really to get there.
Right.
And I always was searching for like this mentor or manager leader that was going to like bring me along. And that never happened. Right. And so you have to like basically take the bull by the horn and kind of like figure out how to do it on your own. And I had a great career in magazine publishing. And then I went on to do other things. I found that I have the ability to transform and transition myself and know what my strengths are to go and for lack of a better word, sell myself to another company. And I basically did not get a job. Like when I was, because I knew how to make that transition. And I mean, I will tell you, like, there were some pretty funny times, like, I was interviewing for a job and I was, going to, it was for, a radio station, and I got the job. And then like within 2 weeks after I was being there, one of the girls said, "Oh, I just got this great new account." And I said, "Oh, so tell me how you got it." And she's like, "Oh, I danced on the tables." And I was like, "Oh, I don't think this is for me." Right. So I had this great, I knew how to transition myself. And then when I became an entrepreneur, I started I started a recruiting business. I did a small stint with a company, and I decided they wanted me to build a division. I was like, well, why am I building it for them when I could just do it on my own? And it was great. And I placed some great people, but that was also starting to form in my brain this idea that I really wanted to coach people, because people were coming to me saying, I don't know what. They were like me when they got out of college, like, where do I go? I've got that first job. And so coaching was like in the back of my head. And then I decided, as I have kids, and then you're like, okay, well, now that I've got kids, how am I going to do this crazy work? And how am I going to work all the hours? And I ended up getting into what a lot of people do is get into network marketing. And I did super well. Like I just soared. But what I loved about it was the coaching. Like I was coaching my team, and I was coaching people how to believe in themselves and how to take action and how to do what I was doing to have success. And 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 I had this crazy journey of getting here and being able to say, you know what, I want to throw it all away so that I can become a coach
Mhm.
and help people. Uh, and I opened up my door, I guess you could say almost 2 years ago, and got my certification as a certified professional coach, um, and haven't looked back.
That's great. That's great. So do you focus on mainly like people, coming out of college, how to get started? Do you coach business owners? Like what is your specialty?
So my specialty really is the business owner and the professional who
Okay.
and the mompreneur really who wants to they're almost like on that cusp. They know they can make that step. And I just love coaching people to make that leap or that transition and over the edge in a good way, not like to go up, to take that leap. And that's where I feel like a lot of people get stuck. They can start their business or they start, but then they get to a point and it's like, am I putting too much time in? Am I putting too much energy in? Like, where do I focus? And I love helping people just get that 1% edge up.
Right.
Or in some cases, it's helping people find that 1% edge out and find
Mhm.
what they love to do
Right.
and move it into something of passion and profitability.
I love that. And that's kind of the whole premise of this podcast is to motivate women to, and men too, but motivate women predominantly that maybe they have their kids and they're staying at home, but they need extra money or they want extra money or they just want to fulfill something, because being a mom is phenomenal. I love it, but sometimes we need just something else with grown-ups,
Right, right. And it's so funny, like I will say to you, being a mom and being a mompreneur, like I'm not going to lie to anybody. There is that struggle because you want to work your business, you
Right.
want to be there for your kids. But the one thing that I can share with everybody that I think is so important is that as a mompreneur, you are and we as women are
Mhm.
showing our kids and what it's like to work and go after and strive and be a great role model for them.
Mhm.
And that is something that it's like the MasterCard moment for our kids. And my daughter is 18 and I've got two kids. I have
Yeah.
a 16-year-old son and an 18-year-old daughter. My 18-year-old is about to fly the coop and go off to college. And people say to me, "Oh, you must be so sad." I'm like, no, like it's her new chapter. I'm not like, yes, I'm going to be sad she's not here. Trust me.
Mhm.
But like, I'm excited for her. And
Mhm.
what she said to me is just recently, she's like, "Mom, you have been such a great role model." Because I see you work, I see you go after things, and I see what you're doing, and yet you're still mom,
Right.
and we can do that. And
Mhm.
I know I'm going to share something that I some people are going to be like, "Oh, cringe," but just remember, like your kids, like as baby, I was very worried about this, and when I was starting a business, when my kids were way, way, way little, like infants. I was afraid that they were going to not remember, that they were going to like that I was doing something that was absolutely horrible to them because I was working when they were babies. I hate to say this, they don't remember. They just want to be loved. And
Mhm.
my kids literally to this day were like, "Oh my God, mom, you were so good. You were there for all this stuff." I'm like, "No, I wasn't." Like, like, but they don't remember. And somebody had shared that with me once, and they said it's, smaller kids, small problems, bigger kids, bigger problems. And my kids really remember where I was and what I was doing. Really, it's like from 5 on, those are when those memories really kind of start to
Yeah.
stay.
Mhm.
And so not that I want to tell you don't have the guilt, but don't have the guilt. I can't make that go away, but I hope that hearing that
Mhm.
helps remove some of that if you're thinking as a growing your business when you've got babies that are little.
Mhm.
And 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 I always feel that if I could go back,
Right.
right? And I could start my business, when they were that infants in infancy, it would have been so much better than me doing it when my kids were starting it when my kids were, you know, in middle school. which is where I kind of feel like,
Yeah.
somebody else had said to me, you know, that's when you're going to need to be around more because that's when stuff happens. Right.
And, because I was that W-2 executive mom for a long time, but I, when my kids got to that age, they needed me home. Like I had special needs kids and stuff, and I wouldn't change it for the world. But in the beginning, you're right. I had a lot more energy, and yet I was working so much, and I was still trying to figure out how to spend time with my kids. And I think that that's the part that um, my daughter, because it's obviously the end of the year, right? And I have little ones as well. And so I had a daughter, she gave this thing, she got to be Marie Antoinette. So she had to dress up like her, go give this presentation about her. And I remember this little kid, he went up to the front of the class, like all the parents were sitting in the back, and he was just like, and he gave his talk and he was talking like this. And I'm like, what the heck? And he finished his talk, and right when he was done, his mom came in. So his mom wasn't there. And so as soon as she came in and the teacher's like, oh, your mom's here, do it again. And he gets up and he's like, da, 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 and so I never realized like the kids really do they notice those things, but sometimes, if they're prepared or like, I don't know, I'm not going to justify it because it really does make a difference when your kids
Right.
there or when you're there or when you're not. But at the same time, there are times where if your child knows it, then maybe you have them do it at home or you have them do it before that, so that they still feel that you love and support them if you can't. But I think that's the part of being a mompreneur. Why we do it is so we can be available during those times.
Yeah, it's so true. And I think, but one of the things that you just said, I think is so important is that kids are so resilient.
Right.
And it's if you promise something and you say you're going to be there,
Yes.
be there.
Right.
But and this is actually what I love teaching people and what I share in one of the processes that I do to help people really elevate is level up your communication all around.
Right.
And that communication is even with your kids. If you let them know and you say, okay, you're giving a presentation today, and you say, okay, do you have, try to connect with the teacher, see like, where is it? I want to know if I can,
Yeah.
right? If I can have an idea as to when my child's going to go so I can make sure that I'm there on time.
Right.
Um, and even let your kids know, like let them know that you are going to be there.
Mhm.
And if you're not going to be there, let them know why.
Right.
It's right. So, and I find it's actually really interesting. So it's like really how do we level up the communication and being able to share? And
Mhm.
as you said, then they feel supported and
Mhm.
loved, right? If and as long as one parent or somebody can be there, sometimes I just remember there was a time when I had to be away some conference, and I either had my mom
Right.
or I had a stand-in, right?
Yeah.
For me so
Take
that
care of you there.
right, they were there, right. And one of the things that I think that I love to share and about helping people really have that high achievement and success in their business is and I think this is probably one of the biggest things that I could stress with anybody is really write down your mission as a mom, as a mompreneur with your business, your family. Get your family involved in that. Like, so I always say you want to have your personal and family mission, and then you want to have your business mission statement, and get people, get your family involved in that. So everybody's getting excited. And so that when you walk into your office, you know what you're doing, and getting your kids involved. So if they know that you're working, you're on a call, you've got let's say you've got your door closed, and you make a little sign that says, okay, mom is working, and get their buy-in on something. So it could be like, okay, mom's going to be doing this work, so we can do this,
Exactly. Yep.
right? Get them excited about it.
Mhm.
And, and, and even about chores. I know it sounds kind of funny, but I used to tell my kids, okay, if you can help me with the laundry, I'm going to be able to spend more time with you.
Oh, yeah. That's
Right. So, and they're like, laundry. And I tell people all the time, my kids have been doing their laundry for a while now.
true.
I don't want to do it. Right. But getting them involved in that then helps them understand that, okay, when mom's with me, like you're there 100%.
Right. I like that. And My husband and I were talking about this because our older kids, they had a heck of a lot more chores, where the younger kids, they have learned to kind of sit around while we're working. And so it's been this new thing of, okay, no, you're old enough now. Like, you're going to help me unload this dishwasher, and you can help me cook the dinner, and you can help me. And yeah, sometimes you have to make a game of it, or, hey, I would love to play with you. Would you mind helping me? Not even would you mind? It's, I need you to
Right,
do this.
right,
So,
right, right. This is your activity that you need to do. And it's funny, and I say this to my kid, my son is 16, and not to throw him under the bus, but like, they were almost better when they were younger. Last night we, as a family, my husband and I were sitting down talking about summer vacation, and he
mhm.
looked at me and he said, "Why are we cleaning up?" And I'm like, so I literally went into both of the kids' rooms and I said, "Okay, if y'all want to go away,
Yeah. Mhm.
get your tushies into the kitchen and help the cleanup so that Dad and I can sit down and figure out the trip."
I love that. That's
You
true.
know, like,
Mhm.
get your butts out like 5 minutes. And my daughter was super helpful. I mean, she actually, I was literally on a call and I said, okay, I printed out a marinade for steak, which actually is
Mhm.
horrible. She did great with the marinade, but the steak was so tough. Anyway, it's a whole story. But I said to her, the recipe's over there. Can you just make the marinade? And she did. And but it was also teaching. She's like, I think I probably should have done X, Y, or Z. And I said, well, great. The next time we do this, you'll know to tenderize it a little bit more and to like poke more holes into the steak. It was a learning moment. Was it the best steak? No, but that's it. It was still teaching. It was a teachable moment, which is still what we want, because then they're seeing how we work, and we end up elevating them, and it elevates us.
Well, and I don't want them leaving my house not knowing how to cook, not knowing how to clean, not knowing how to, like, oh, let's talk about debt. And, there's a
Right.
lot of things where my oldest child, she didn't realize paying the minimum balance every month only gets her higher and higher and higher if she keeps charging. And so we had that conversation, and, oh, okay, now, so I add my kids as an authorized user from like 15 years old, because it
Yeah.
helps build their credit. And then it's like, okay, at the end of every month, we're going to sit down and here's your bills, or I'm going to cover this, but this is how much it costs for you to do this. So it's been a learning experience for all of them. It's been fun.
Yeah, no, actually, I just did that with my daughter.
Right.
Literally sat down and I said, okay, I'm adding up everything that you spent,
Right.
and I want you to know that.
Hmm.
And I said, where does it come from?
Hmm.
She's like, oh.
Yeah.
I go, do you want me to take it out of your account?
Yeah, or you don't have it? Well, now you can go work it off. Okay. See all those weeds out there? And
Exactly. Work it off. But it's so important. And I will say, the other funny thing about, what I love about being in business and being a mom, it's also teaching our kids the funny things that happen, and that nothing has to be perfect.
right.
I laugh, like, I even just did this like 3 weeks ago, even though I've been in business for a while. Like, I sent out an email and it was in a sequence, and the next one said replace with nurturing sequence. And that went out to everybody. And I was like, oh,
I did that too. I literally just sent out this whole dates to remember, and it put, like, I forgot, I did the Canva, enter something here, and I had printed off all of them, put them in half of the envelopes, and I went, well, I'm not perfect. Oh well. And I kept stuffing them, and like, my clients know me and they know I really do try to do well, but you know what? You're welcome to help. So,
right,
oh
right,
well.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I've done that, and I mean I've done some funny things. It's like I used to do because I was in network marketing, and I would do some home parties. And I remember I went to somebody's house on the wrong night.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, they're like, I'm knocking on the door. No, it's next week. And I'm like, I swear I've been sending you messages.
Yep. Thanks for responding. But I think that we take done is better than perfect. And my
Yeah.
son, like, oh my gosh, he's got language arts, and it took him 6 weeks to write a paper that was due like 4 months or 4 weeks ago. And so I'm like, he's because I used to be a teacher. I'm like, he's gonna read it, but he's just gonna be like this. I mean, 5 minutes and that's it. You have literally gotten behind on all your classes because you think it has to be perfect. You're not writing a book. Like, just get it done. And that's the part that sometimes we get so obsessed with it has to be perfect and we have to do this before we can launch. And it doesn't. Just get started, just
right.
get started. And so,
Take the step.
yeah. So we don't have a lot of time, like we're almost done. And so you are a coach and I interview a ton of coaches, but tell me why you think it's important to have a coach.
Because you can't do it yourself. And I will tell you that I found my greatest success in my businesses when I worked with a coach.
Yeah, I agree.
And I know this is going to sound kind of funny, but I started working with a coach for one thing, but really what it came down to is that my coach each week or each time that we got together, I was focusing on something that I really wanted to accomplish in my business at the moment, and they held me accountable.
Yeah.
And so that it was the accountability piece. And then what I feel that I tend to bring to the table for my clients is my experience through direct marketing and sales and a lot of different industries that culminate into a little bit more of a consulting part. So if somebody has an issue, I can say, okay, let's brainstorm ideas. So, but it's that accountability, and again, and not going it alone, and know that everybody who's reached up has had a coach, whether they're an athlete,
It's true.
whether they're a business professional, whether they're a singer. And I mean, you have to think about it from that standpoint. Everybody has a coach.
It's so
or have,
true. That's so true. Well, Jaclyn, if people want to get a hold of you, how do they find you?
The best thing to do is actually go to my website, go to leaptoyoursuccess.com. And I actually have a free Unstoppable. I have this as a digital format. It's the Unstoppable Achievers Journal. And it has some exercises in there for you to do on creating your mission, mindset, core values. It's great. And then there's also a QR code in there to do a complimentary session with me as well.
I love that. Well, thank you so much. Well, Unbreakable Mompreneurs, we talked a lot about being a mom, how to juggle that, what you need to do in business. And if you need to just I need some direction, I need a coach, then please reach out to Jaclyn. And Jaclyn, thank you so much for coming on, and you have a great day, everybody.
Thank you so much for having me.
Beautiful moms, remember, you are unbreakable. Keep illuminating the world with your strength, pursuing your dreams, and reveling in the splendor of motherhood. This is Charisse Walker, bidding you farewell for now. Stay tuned for more empowering conversations on the next episode of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. Until then, keep shining bright. Signing off with love, Charisse Walker.